that there we were able to go inside into the house. These trees around here, they have been planted. we can see a lot of steam coming up there a little bit further on the right, and this steam is coming from natural springs that are there. And here we have a little town, about 2,500 inhabitants, and this town is called Hveragerði, or the town of the springs. And here there can be quite strong earthquakes. In 2008 there was an earthquake here, 6.2 on the magnitude scale. But you know that we build mostly houses of concrete, and it's reinforced concrete, so there is a lot of steel bars in the walls, so they do not fall apart, the houses, even though we have earthquakes up to like 7. There can be cracks in the walls, but they do not fall apart. But the ground here is too warm for them to have any churchyard here. So they have had to bury people that die a little bit further away from this town, even though they had a church in the town, of course. And while it happened now many decades back, that there was a family here that had built themselves a house. Just before I keep telling you about that, I want to tell you we are just about on the right side to pass some greenhouses. And in these greenhouses, that are quite many in the south coast of Iceland, like these greenhouses we are passing now, they cultivate tomatoes and cucumbers and also roses and many other things actually, but mostly this. Well, yes, there was a family that built themselves a house here in Hveragerði, and with the help of their friends, like it was quite common at that time. And then they moved into the house, but due to an earthquake there was a hot spring coming up in the living room. So it would have been much better if it had been in the bathroom and they could have made it into a sauna or something. That we see there to right in the hillsides are from natural springs that are there. home that had to hurry as everybody else and were just as shocked as everybody else. And it was not until they came to Reykjavik that they realized that quite many of them had forgotten something very important. Remember, this is 50 years back. In the glass on the little table beside the bed, the false teeth were still there. So they phoned back to the island, and there was one young man that took a sack and went into the old people's home and gathered all the teeth into the sack and sent to the people in Reykjavik. And the only thing they could do was, of course, to just try them on. And some got much better teeth than they had before, while others never found their own. This is the view from here, the mountains and the clouds and the sky and the clouds in the sky. This is very, very special. I think I've never seen it like that before. Here we have some of the natural springs on the right side. Skrítið hvað það er.
Já, það liggur bara þetta dalaræð.
Og það er líka hérna.
Já.
This area here is a hot temperature area, so 1,000 meters down, yes, the temperature is 200 degrees Celsius and higher. And you can see how the pipelines are zigzagging here. And that is due to that it can even be warmer, so they have to be able to expand a little bit, the pipelines. And there is a lot of steam coming up there, you can see on the right. And that is due to that they have to let some of the steam out of to regulate the pressure in the boreholes. But they produce here 300 megawatts of electricity and 200 megawatts of heat energy. And they are also doing quite interesting things here, experiments with CO2, removing carbon from the atmosphere. And here in Iceland there are basaltic rocks formation that can very easily store CO2. So they inject it into 1 kilometer underground. Solid carbonate, and actually it only takes a few years for the CO2 to turn into rock down there. They thought it would take decades, if not centuries, but it is very quickly. You see, Iceland is that young, geologically speaking, that there are, for example, no granite. And the basalt, even the basalt that is very deep down, that is quite porous compared to other countries. So, and on the third floor, there are 3 short videos constantly on, and they tell you about this.
Good job.
The restrooms are behind the stairs, and there are also lift up or elevator up to the 3rd floor where the exhibition is. But to begin with, they will tell us some things on the ground floor before we go up. And we are supposed to leave here 10 to 9. 850. 850. You can see where they gather there. We'll gather there and then we will be told about this area.
Same time, same station?
Yeah, yeah. Be careful.
Make it easier to get up on it.
My knees are not bothering you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Just whenever I get up on them, the private sitting and think, oh, I don't know how you're doing it. Get Caleb out of it.
Well, we know which direction is west,
I still don't.
but the sun is there.
Wait a minute, I thought the sun sets in the east.
No, the sun comes to west.
It rises in the east.
Yes.
Okay.
Einhver bíll á þín megin?
Nei, engin bíll, engin bíll. Svo langt sem augun eygir.
Já, tímur svo sem ekki vona því, en vildi það
Nei,
vel.
já. Það er alltaf betra að vera alveg viss,
betra.
maður veit aldrei.
Er þetta ekki bara að það er að dæla niður?
Það getur verið. was father to Odin and the other gods. Then one day the Odin and the other gods, they kill the giant there, or the creature that is called Ymir, and they make the earth out of his body. Out of the bones they made the mountains. Out of the blood they make the lakes and all the water of the sea and everything. And out of the skull they made out of the skull, yes, they made the sky, and out of the brain they made the clouds. And one day Odin and two of his brothers are walking on the coast on this earth of theirs and at the sea, and there are two pieces of timber, like drift timber, coming to the shore, and they make the first man out of the one and make the first woman out of the other, and they call the man Askur and call the woman Embla. And this starts with A and E, just like Adam and Eve. And this is written down in Christian times, so maybe it affected the story in some way. But you were asking me, some of you, how much snow we get. In the mountains we have here on the left, there is there in Norway were like elliptical in form, like the first houses here as well. And in there were fire in the middle, and then along the long walls there were beds and sitting places. And for the middle of the one long wall, there had the chief in that area his high seat, and Ingólfur was a chief in his area. And along the high seat there were columns that went up into the roof, in which were carved mythological figures. And these columns, high seat columns, he had with him was on his ship, and when he was sailing to Iceland. And when he saw the new land arise in the horizon, he threw these pillars out and said when they came ashore, that was the spot the pagan gods he believed in had decided ought to be his new home. And first he comes to the eastern fjords, and there he sends 2 of his slaves to look for these pillars. And it took, I think, about 2 years for them to find the pillars. And finally they found them on at the peninsula where Reykjavik is located, just about, I think, where your ship is. And at that time they had not utilized the low temperature area in Reykjavik. There were springs there and a lot of steam that came up. But I think the Norwegian didn't know anything about springs or steam coming from springs. They called it a Reykur, and this was a bay, so that is why Reykjavik is called Reykjavik, the smoky bay from that time. Now, they were planted more than 100 years back, and you see they are not very high. And for many, it was a proof for that trees couldn't grow in Iceland. But they didn't know that the species they had planted was a dwarf species. So it was very good. They tried other places, other species. of the Icelandic Santa Clauses? We all heard about that? No? Okay. You see, here in Iceland, we do not have one Santa Claus. We have 13 different. Actually, they are not Santa Claus, they are called maybe Yule lads. In English, they don't wear white and red dresses, but the old Icelandic woolen clothes. And otherwise, they look like humans, but they are sons of 2 trolls. And I have no explanation why they do not look like trolls. But anyhow, these Santa Claus, Yuletide lads, earlier on they were teasing people in a way. They were, one was stealing the candles people wanted to lit up with in the dark time. Another one was slamming the doors so everybody got frightened inside. And another one was peeping inside the front windows and the windows, the small windows I wanted to say, in the houses. So everybody got also a little frightened when that happened. And there was another one that they really loved to eat, the Icelandic skyr, if you have tasted that milk product. Another one was eating all meat and so on and so forth. But now they have taken flavor of Santa Claus in the red and white dress, and they have become much more friendly. But they live on top of the mountain that we have on the right side, Asia, that is 2 to 3 million years old, with their mother and father. Mother is called Grýla and the father Lambalúði. And 13 days before Christmas, the first one comes down the mountain and takes the main road into the National Museum. And there is always a group of children that welcome that Santa Claus. And also somebody from the state television filming this. And it's not just a natural part of the evening news in the time just before Christmas to tell us who it was that came to town today. We tend to forget the elderly people in what order they are supposed to arrive, you see. So it's just a natural part of the evening news. And you see, everybody that has been a child in Iceland knows about the mother Grýla. You don't hear so much about the father Lambalúði. But Grýla is the troll, and she is far the ugliest and most horrible creature you can meet on earth. And she can come down to the houses in the towns like she did to the farms earlier on, in the time just before Christmas, with a big sack on her back. And there she goes around and she picks every child that has been naughty in the year and puts it in the sack. And when she has all the naughty children in the sack, she carries them on her back up the mountain to her home, and there she cooks them for her Christmas dinner.
Oh my God!
So
That's a horror story.
Hey, we all behaved. So it worked.
It is working, like Ragnar says, we all behave.
Kids do.
Hvernig áttu að vera mætt?
Hálf.
Þá erum við bara alveg á tíma.
Já, við erum alveg bara virkilega góðan tíma.
Fuel oilers there. The US.
thank you all for today.
Thank you.
You have really behaving. So, no sack here.
Thank God.
And it's been a beautiful day, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.
having me. And also for Ragnar. He's been great driver. Yeah, not the least. And so, takk fyrir í dag. Thank you for today. Góða ferð, good journey. Bless, bless. Bye bye. Say bless, bless.
Thank you. Bless, bless.
So what were the grates along the road sometimes? They were iron grates that we would...
Iron grate.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes we were driving over some grins there, iron, and that is due to the sheep. The sheep, there is sickness in the sheep, so Iceland is divided into areas